A good quarter of my life was dedicated to speedrunning. Most sane speedrunners pick 1 or 2 games to excel at, but I liked running whatever game I was interested in at the time. Whether it be Miitopia, Mario Kart Wii, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, the Backyardigans, apparently. Over time, though, I've narrowed down my selection of games to only just a few, and one of those recently was Postal 2. Yeah, I wonder why I chose that game and then decided to commentate over that run later. What I wasn't expecting, though, was for this game to be one of the strangest, glitchiest, and most frustrating experiences I've ever had in speedrunning. Hope you enjoy.
Monday starts out as any Postal 2 playthrough would. The dude is tasked by his nagging wife to complete some chores around the town, which today are picking up the goat's milk from the Lucky Ganesh corner store, picking up the check from the Running with Scissors headquarters where the dude works, and then depositing the check at the bank in the Greenbelt district. Postal 2 has a plethora of difficulties to choose from, and as you'd expect, one of the easier difficulties is actually used for this run, that being easy. Why not choose the easiest difficulty, lever mode? You'll see shortly.
I know I'm kind of blazing through everything, but you clicked on the video. Either you know Postal 2 or you know speedrunning. This will make sense to you eventually.
Immediately upon starting the run, I go ahead and make a hard save in front of the dude's trailer. This will be used for later points in the run to do some shenanigans, but for now, after making the hard save, exiting through the load on the left marked by the yellow sign, and taking a hard right through this small gap, I arrive at the Lucky Ganesh where I grab the goat's milk. After grabbing it and marking that chore off as complete, comes the first bit of tech used in the run. Stuck abuse.
You see, Postal 2's code is held together by scotch tape and spit, and this applies to the game's collision system as well. If the Postal dude's hitbox overlaps with another hitbox in a certain way to where you are stuck, the game will literally tell you you are stuck. Then it'll teleport you to the nearest safest location and tell you to stay out of that spot. This stuck mechanic can actually be used to teleport you in a very useful way. The corner shelves in the Lucky Ganesh are the perfect spot to get stuck. Getting stuck in this corner will warp you back to the correct spot, but doing it again warps you outside of the Lucky Balanesh. That's what I was, yep. Yeah. This is because of how Postal 2 actually handles the warps. The game is filled with invisible triggers called path nodes, and these path nodes are used to determine where the dude is respawned in case you ever fall out of bounds, or in this case, get stuck. One interesting thing though is that the game will never send you to the same path node twice. So once getting stuck in the Lucky Ganesh corner once, that node in the corner is obsolete, and it chooses the next nearest node, which happens to be right outside of the Lucky Ganesh.
Doing this skips both having to pay for the milk and having to escape through the back to steal it, and puts me in a very convenient spot to where I immediately head to the RWS office. Upon walking up to the office, I make sure to aggro this cop, either by kicking him or flipping him off. Then I run inside. While inside, I'll make sure to grab the M4 sitting on the receptionist chair, then I run down the hall and make a quick save, then load the hard save that I made at the very beginning of the run. Once loaded back to the beginning, I then load the quick save again, and once the progress bar starts to crawl across, I press escape, and then shortly after press enter before the bar finishes, which, upon loading the game, leaves the game in a very weird glitch state. Once in this glitch state, the game's HUD will be completely invisible, and it has become impossible to pause the game once again. However, there actually is a way out of this state. Before that though, I make sure to grab the check off Vince's desk, which would normally cause the world map to appear and trigger a cutscene. But due to this glitch, you can just pick up the check and are free to leave. And remember that cop that I mentioned literally less than a minute ago? Even though the HUD is gone, the cop still remains aggressive towards me. So upon stopping for him, he will still arrest me. It's important to note how RNG dependent this section is, because not only does RNG affect the cop's dialogue speed and the dude's response speed, but also the protesters outside. They have a tendency to block the cop and can lead to some pretty funny scenarios.
That's it. You're under arrest.
Get out of the way!
I'm going to have to
Get out
cuff
of the
you.
way!
You have the right to
Get out of the
remain
way!
silent.
Get out of the
Anyone
way!
Yeah,
Get out of the
blah,
way!
blah.
Get out
Just
of the
cuff me
way!
already,
Get out of the
big
way!
man.
Get out of the way!
Now you may be wondering, why would getting arrested be faster than just going to the bank? In Postal 2, getting arrested actually puts you in a prison cell. So wouldn't that just be slower? Well, with this glitch active, there actually is another side effect. Not only does it break every single area that you could be in, it also breaks the warp to the police station, placing you right inside of the lobby of the police station, as well as being fully healed and keeping all of your weapons and inventory. So you are just free to exit without dealing with the consequences of your actions.
One weird issue though is that since I grabbed the check while in this glitch state, I didn't actually get credit for completing the chore, but thankfully just dropping the check out of my inventory and picking it up again actually triggers the completion screen for the chore. So after the check is marked off, it's off to the bank, which is convenient for me since doing the police warp puts me right next to the load tunnel for the bank. Once arriving outside of the bank, I make sure to equip my M4 and also make sure that my money is in my current inventory slot. Upon walking inside, I shoot the ATM and the glass panels inside and immediately hide my gun to not provoke the cop that runs by. Then I throw my money out in a very specific way that'll distract everyone in line and hopefully lure in any stragglers in line, which thankfully happened to me.
Once talking to the banker and cashing in the check, Monday is complete. But since I actually gave the check to the worker instead of robbing the bank, a horde of bank robbers actually bust into the bank. So I have to weave through them and all the police officers and make it back to the exit that I came from to actually complete the day in around 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Upon the morning sun rising over paradise, the dude's wife has assigned him with even more chores to complete. Return the book to the library, get the signed book from Gary Coleman, go repent my sins at the church, and get some petition signatures from people around the town. Which, in a speedrun scenario, it's best to get those done immediately.
This is where save scumming comes into play. And you might be thinking, wouldn't that just lose time? Reloading the same save over and over and over? Well, turns out Postal 2 speedrunning actually uses the in-game timer to time runs. No, not that one. No. Most speedrunners use a program called LiveSplit to track their times. A cool feature that this program has is the ability to import custom scripts to allow for load removers and auto splitters, which Postal 2 is no exception to. Using this load remover, super lengthy loading times and potential crashes are saved because the timer will pause in every single loading screen and automatically resume whenever you exit a load. Meaning that save scumming for the petition signatures, each individual load takes around 2 to 3 seconds of in-game time. But this time does add up very quickly depending on how many times you reload to get a signature.
The amount of signatures you get ultimately doesn't matter up until later though, because now I head off to the library to return the book. Once entering the library, there's a strat you can do involve jumping and crouching in the air to where you can actually land on the ground in front of this railing and jump over, saving you a few seconds. But knowing me with my horrible consistency with everything, I missed this and lost those few seconds, having to walk up the stairs normally. Now, in a regular playthrough, you would normally go into this room here where the drop-off box is. But there's actually an alternate way of completing this chore. Through the door directly left of this room, there's a large staircase that leads to the upper part of the library. But not many people know that there's actually a small storage closet here that you can actually drop the book in and it will complete the task as normal. The fastest way out of the library, shown in Tokingno's world record, is to throw the book into the corner and at the same time, make a quick save while the door is closing on you. Then when the chore complete screen comes up, pause and select the quick save from the... What? What the?
So another side effect of the save glitch is that every time you open up the pause menu from now on, the save menu will be overlaid on top of it for the duration of your playthrough until you close Postal 2 again. But it's interactable. This allows you to actually skip cutscenes and even potentially full levels, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself here.
I have no clue how that last part works, if I'm being completely honest. If I had to guess, it's similar to how stuck warps work. I genuinely don't know. If you somehow know, let me know in the comments. Anyways, yeah, I messed up the trick twice in my personal best. From here, it's literally a straight shot all the way to the mall. Except right at the entrance, in this small office area to the right, where some Molotovs are sitting on the counter. So after grabbing those and equipping my M4, I entered the mall. Inside the mall, there is a line of patrons waiting for Gary Coleman's signature. However, what I did do was wait for the first lady in line to get her Gary Coleman book. Then shoot her dead so she'll drop the book, completing that chore. And this is considerably faster than waiting in line for the book. After weaving past the quickly unraveling chaos, I make sure to drop the book right in front of the mini library for later. NPCs around won't actually try to grab the book, and yes, inventory management is actually a pretty major part of this run somehow. After running through the mall and exiting out the front, I then cut through this alleyway, jump up this car, crouch jump onto this sign, then again onto this air vent where $130 is just sitting there. And upon grabbing it, my money totaled to just over $300, which I'll need for later in the run. To make sure I don't lose the money in later points of the game, I make sure to drop it right next to this train car here, because no NPCs will be around to take it. I then equip my Molotovs and entered the church.
Now, if any of you have seen my other videos before, mainly my pacifist video, you'll know that the church took me the longest out of any section in the entire game. Funnily enough, in the speedrun, the church is actually one of the shortest sections in the game.
I open up the doors to the cathedral tunnel, but instead of entering the church fully, I go into this right corner and hold left click to fully charge up my Molotov throw. Then I have to align my crosshair at this specific angle and throw the Molotov to hit the side of the church and burn the priest inside of the confessional booth to death. This automatically marks the chore as complete, allowing me to exit the level and complete Tuesday. After watching the cutscene where I repeat the same joke for a third video.
There is a way to skip this cutscene, however. By getting right up next to the load on the street, whenever the cutscene is supposed to trigger after the map fades, you'll just enter the load. I don't know, I guess I didn't push up far enough. I genuinely don't know how to get this.
If you've never played Postal 2, you can pretty much picture how the gameplay loop works for the rest of the game at this point. My new chores for the day are to go vote, piss on my dad's grave, and go collect an entire Christmas tree in fucking July. I start my day by going to vote first, which happens to be in the starting area, in the restaurant named Cock Asian. The world record does this in the coolest way possible, involving kicking this trash can, which I did try, but I messed it up pretty terribly. The voting booth is in the upstairs room of the restaurant, and there are police all around as well. So I intentionally piss off the first cop, then go and vote.
And just like in real American politics, it truly does not matter who you vote for, because Osama bin Smith is gonna win regardless.
After marking the chores finished, I then repeat the save glitch that I performed in the RWS office to warp from Cock Asian straight to the police station once more. Upon leaving the police station, I pivot hard left and climb over this ledge here into the police parking, onto this very slim piece of the tree, and over the fence to save around 5 seconds compared to just walking around the normal way, and head towards the Peachtree Emporium to collect my July'smas tree.
Now, you would assume that the fastest method to get the tree would be just to beeline it there, right? Well, it turns out that the fastest way to do it is actually how I did it in my pacifist video again, funnily enough. Just scaling the top of the mountain. I didn't even know that was the fastest way. I did it just because I thought it was funny.
After collecting the tree and missing the cutscene skip, which is performed by quick saving immediately after the map transition disappears and reloading said save, I head off towards the sewers, where the Taliban's underground hideout is. This area is pretty treacherous normally, but thankfully, thanks to another crouch jump, I can skip almost the entirety of the inside section and exit out near the cemetery. After traversing through the trenches and literal toxic waste, I arrive at Dad's grave, where I...
Alright, look man, I needed to make this interesting somehow.
Yeah, anyways, what's up, rednecks? The brewery is pretty straightforward. Well, apart from being gimped up, I guess. Apart from this small skip in the first brew room and this jump in the final room before the exit, the only way to do this section fast is to just book it. After escaping the brewery, I'm still gimped up, so to save me some time, I book it hard right through this load zone and piss off this cop on the other side of this gate. Do the save glitch once again, and then warp to the police station.
From here, I take a right and then just follow the road afterwards until arriving at the laundromat, where I pick up my clothes, mark off that chore, and exit through the tunnel near Caucasian to finish Wednesday. The world record skips these last two chores.
By performing the same cutscene skip that was done on the Christmas tree cutscene, albeit with a more convoluted setup, you can actually make the game think that you're in a cutscene, yet still have full control of the Postal dude. This completely breaks the game and puts you in a really weird glitch state. This is done by using the broken save slots that are overlapped on the pause menu from earlier to pause while pissing, reload the save, and while pissing again, repeat the steps. But instead of loading a save, try to save a new hard save over the existing quick save slot, which will cause the prompt to overwrite the save file to come up while the task is being marked as complete. Then once the cutscene actually starts, save the game, then pause and load the new glitch state. You'll be spawned at the entrance of the church, exactly where the default path node is. This also glitches out the HUD completely, removing all of your weapons including your fist and leaving your active item slot completely empty, which to my knowledge isn't possible at all except for this method.
And because you completed the chore during the glitch setup and never actually received the laundromat chore, the game acts like you've completed everything from that day and you are just free to exit, and it loads you into Thursday. This saves over 5 minutes.
Thursday is the only day in the week that actually gives you 4 chores off rip. Those being collecting napalm, securing a bad touch crotchy doll, purchasing some steaks from the butchery, and paying off a parking ticket at the police station.
I start the day by immediately booking it to the mall, taking a small corner cut through these bushes to save around a second or two, and then entering the mall. Once inside, I once again crouch jump over the ledge to the bottom floor, go pick up the Gary Coleman book that I left outside the mini library, then cut through the back of that mini library to eventually reach the other side of the mall. After cutting through the cafeteria, I finally arrive at Crotchy's. where instead of buying the toy off the phallic figure himself or just going to the back to steal it,
I instead trade him the Gary Coleman book for the crotchy doll, which can be done by very quickly spamming the interact key and walking in circles. After marking that chore done, I then immediately drop the newly acquired toy and Gary Coleman book that I for some reason still have, and exit through the door to the left to enter the parking garage.
you remember that stack of cash that I dropped next to that train car on Tuesday? That train car has actually moved out of the way to open a new pathway up towards the napalm factory.
Instead of going to the napalm factory though, I instead head towards the area beyond the factory, the junkyard. Anyone who's at least played this game before knows that this area is gated off until Friday, due to the alternator, which is one of Friday's chores. Turns out though that if you make a quick save in front of this gate and immediately load it while holding forward, you just respawn behind the gate when you reload. Like, this is genuinely one of the easiest sequence breaks I've ever seen. How did nobody at RWS catch this? Once inside the junkyard, I shoot the car being hung over this girl to kill her, just so I don't have to potentially deal with her on the way back. Then I head inside the maze of smashed cars and angry dogs before I eventually secure the alternator.
Now, unlike every other chore in the game, because I obtained the alternator early, the chore was never actually marked as complete because I was never given the chore. Do I really, like, does this make sense? Can I move on?
After backtracking through the canine kerfuffle, I take a hard left into this airplane radome where 3 stacks of grenades can be found. These are vital for actually exiting the junkyard because the gate is still locked shut. To circumvent this, I press right click to soft drop a grenade on the ground, take out my M4, then crouch jump and shoot the grenade at the same time. And if done correctly, I should get stuck in the gate and stuck warped to the other side. In all honesty, I really don't like this trick, and I'm super inconsistent at it, but I thankfully got it first try in my PB. After being placed back on the correct side of the fence, I book it straight to the top left corner of the building, where crouch jumping on this fence post allows me to actually climb on top of the building and drop into the napalm factory entrance from above.
Even though I have the $300, it's actually faster for me to trespass and aggro the police onto me, because I actually need to save this $300 for later in the run.
The factory is pretty straightforward. I follow the normal path until reaching this point, where I do this strangely precise corner jump, which saves roughly 20 seconds. Then I grab the napalm. This unfortunately leads to another pretty lengthy cutscene, but thankfully during this cutscene, the police are still aggroed, so after this scientist fucks everything up for everyone, I repeat the police teleport once more.
However, the world record actually uses another cutscene skip to warp you back to the very beginning of the napalm factory, where Tokigno very smartly dropped all of his items and weapons before being teleported back. So then, at the very top of the stairs, he can just police warp there. It's genuinely very smart.
Anyways, one swift police escort later, it's off to the butchery to pick up the steaks. After once again scaling this insufferable wall and going through the newly opened gate to the left, then pivoting hard right, I align for an infuriatingly precise wall jump, which thankfully I get first try. I am now technically out of bounds, which is the only time in the entire run that this happens, so enjoy it while it lasts. While out of bounds, I make my way across the mountainous terrain until eventually sliding down onto this roof, where I then align myself with this corner, then run off. Yeah, it doesn't really seem like much, but bear with me. While I'm falling, I make sure to hold forward until the screen starts to glitch and tear up, then immediately start holding backwards. And if done perfectly, I respawn right in front of the doors to the butchery, completely skipping having to walk over there and the inconvenient cutscene.
I fucking hate the butchery!
All right. Let me calm down. The butchery ended a total of 58 of my 100 total attempts that I put into this category. And here's why.
I did my route for Thursday completely different than the optimal route, and I only found out about this after run number 94. I had made myself a Google Doc with the very basic route written out with screenshots attached, and there's no sugarcoating this. I somehow managed to mix up the parking ticket and the butchery chores. In the world record, for comparison, he warps to the police station from the factory and pays off his ticket there, then goes to the butchery. And in my mind, I don't know how I mistranslated this, but I thought, go to the butchery, police warp from there, then pay the ticket and leave. And oh dear, that was a mistake. The world record also does a death abuse strategy to make the butchery very easy. This death abuse strategy actually gives you the same effect as the cutscene skip. So he was able to do this stuck warp that I still don't know how to do. Go all the way to the stakes, pick up the stakes without triggering the cutscene, and then just death warp again to go back to the beginning and leave, like, scot-free. It pisses me off. I hate the butchery!
In my scuffle to actually write down the route correctly, I did actually come up with a backup. which is where my hatred for this section comes from. I would play through the butchery completely normally, grab the steaks, then I would go back far enough to where no butchers would attack me or the police, then I would do the save glitch and warp to the police station. But the cops and the butchers just refused to cooperate for me. I would end up wasting multiple minutes just waiting for the horribly programmed AI to cooperate and thankfully, in my PB that you've been seeing throughout the entirety of this video, had somewhat favorable RNG, but I still lost over a minute in this section alone, and quite possibly could have set an amazing time in my standards if it wasn't for this. After finally getting the police award, I then walked up to the register and gave the officer the $300 to pay for the parking ticket, completing Thursday. Not before not giving him the money and dropping it on the ground for me to keep.
The world record actually does this for a later skip that I don't do. I just got into the habit of doing it because I thought it was funny.
The final day of the week has approached.
Yep, all 5 days of the week. There's no more days after Friday. All 5 days, there's no more. Why are we still here?
Thankfully, today's chores are kind of lax compared to the rest of the week. I already collected the alternator, so we'll disregard that one. But I need to collect the package from the parcel center and deliver Uncle Gay. Yep, Uncle Gay. Deliver Uncle Dave his birthday gift. I start off the day by dropping off the alternator on top of Champ's doghouse, then taking a hard right in the starting sector, which leads to this suburban outskirt area. After cutting through this brick house and around the side of this beige house, I arrive beside the RWS office complex, where I can take a straight line into this load zone, which leads to the train yard area. And after taking a hard right behind this gas station, I arrive at Uncle Dave's religious compound. You would expect this part to be super difficult like the butchery, right? Especially with all the police officers around. In all honesty, this was a way easier section than I would have made it out to be. All I had to do was run up to this metal staircase, skip this cutscene, which in all fairness I definitely could have skipped faster, I just wasn't paying attention, beeline it over to the roof where this open hole is, then fall in and give Uncle Dave the gift. This causes the ATF officers to rush inside. You can already see where this is going.
The world record actually goes for another death abuse strategy here, which warps the postal dude all the way on top of the tower, where he then drops down to the bottom, backtracks a little bit, picks up some grenades, then throws them all down into the corner of the building here to kill Uncle Dave while he's still inside. Because he's in this weird glitch state though, it completes the chore but doesn't show that it completed the chore. It's very weird. And because of this, he's actually able to just police warp straight out without ever actually receiving credit for the chore. But he received credit for the chore, if that makes sense.
After being arrested again, I exit the police station, do this god-awful jump again, then exit through the left like Thursday. Except this time, instead of jumping out of bounds, I instead cut through this yard, jump the fences, which is strangely precise, and I somehow miss in this run, and jump inside of this house. Similarly to the library skip, quick saving when this particular door closes, for whatever reason, warps me, this time just right in front of the register at the parcel center. I opted to steal the package outright since paying for the package plays a longer cutscene, and after stealing it, I simply just ran through the back of the parcel center until reaching the storage room, which, similar to how I handled it in my pacifist run, I just scaled this corner and jumped over, which works strangely well. After bursting through the double doors, I exit the parcel center through the front doors, and head back towards the dude's trailer to end the run.
The reason that I kept the $300 outside of it just being funny is because the $300 is actually used for the final skip in the run, being the parcel center skip, which is performed the exact same way as the other cutscene skips. Performing this glitch again puts you right at the entrance of the parcel center, where you can just hold backwards and exit scot-free.
From here, I book it hard right, over this fence. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? Over this fence and across the buildings, where terrorists actively try to gun me down with M4s and rocket launchers. And as you can see on the right, my HP isn't looking so good. This wouldn't be a video if I didn't make it out of here alive, so I'm not even gonna try to dramatize it, but it was scarily close. Upon walking through the exit crevice, I end up back at the starting area, where I can run to the dude's trailer, not before grabbing the alternator off of Champ's doghouse, entering this house, and immediately exiting it to end the run, clocking at 41 minutes and 48 seconds, while the world record clocked in at 26 minutes and 38 seconds.
Now, a lot of you might be thinking, why are you comparing yourself to the world record so much? Shouldn't you be happy with the time that you set in your own personal achievement? No!
Now, I know that this isn't for everyone, but would I recommend this game to anybody looking to speedrun something? In all honesty, no. at least not for this category. I would honestly recommend running no major glitches over any percent, as you don't have to deal with nearly as much bullshit in regards to setting up the rather difficult skips and RNG dependent wars. If that sounds like your cup of tea, go for it. I'm not gonna stop you. Let me know if you end up being able to beat my time as well. I'm actually very curious about that. Because I promise you, if you can get at least one of those cutscene skips that I didn't get, you can beat my run by multiple minutes. And you may also be wondering, if you recommend a different category, why did you talk about the one that you don't recommend? I wanted to show the cool skips and glitches, okay? Thank you to Tokigno for allowing me to use your world record footage. That video link will be in the description, as well as the Postal 2 speedrunning leaderboard.